Hi, Miss Cooper. I don't know what that means.
Hello.
Hi, I opened up a document and I'm trying to have everything open and ready to go, and I've lost it. So,
Look at the bottom. You don't see it
ah,
at the bottom?
no, it was a download and I opened it up and now I can't find it. I didn't close anything.
Look in your download folder.
Yeah, I was hoping I wouldn't have to go through that process again because I had already opened it. Like I have the proposal
Hmm.
for the quote for the health books.
Yeah, I printed it out. I just had it open. Is that what you're trying to get open?
Um, no, I have that open. I'm just
Oh,
for the agenda and oh,
was.
I'm not gonna worry with it.
This is the only thing that's on the agenda, right?
Well,
Oh, you changed it?
I was a little overzealous when I sent the items to put on the agenda to Kathleen.
Huh.
And there's a board meeting tonight at the same time.
What?
Yes, to discuss the hybrid.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm I'm gonna just ask for grace because I have been working on trying to get parents to respond for this targeted services plan and making sure that we had the rosters ready to go to transportation so they could start working on creating the routes.
Oh, I
That's,
seen a bus come through here yesterday.
and I think they've started it for elementary. I'm
Yeah.
not 100% certain on that, but like that has been consuming my since the last time we met. What has that been, a week ago?
My
Trying to
child
get
was
all
doing,
that, get all of the healthy at school stuff in order. We got all our PPE and we got all our spaces set up, meeting after meeting after meeting, just trying to get that done. And on top of that, coming up with our hybrid plan, which we have together. Um, and I do need to talk to you all about that.
okay.
So I
Hmm.
guess I'm just going to do an overview of that and the, if I could get some grace on going over map data because that's not ready.
I don't want to go over map data.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
No, that's fine because I haven't had a chance to update it because teachers were pulling kids in, trying to get them to take the test, and you'd be amazed at some of the feedback. We had parents actually like when we called them, they would call back to the school and say, "Look, my kid's overwhelmed. They're not taking a map test." Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure he gets all his stuff in. That's all I worry about.
I know. I was just like, well, we kind of need that to baseline data point,
Yeah.
but
I'm glad he already did his map test.
yeah. So if everybody's in agreement, then we'll
Yeah,
just
I don't want to go over it.
okay, good.
Say I second it, Miss Albright. You're on mute.
Are we talking about the books?
We're talking about the agenda.
Oh,
I was a little overzealous. I was telling Ms. Cooper I was a little overzealous when I came up with the items on the agenda. Yeah, I'm not ready to
gotcha.
talk about MAP because I haven't updated it completely. I've done the whole school, but that is as far as I've gotten. I haven't broken it down by ethnicities or version or EL population yet. So I still am working on that. And
Well, I said,
then,
I don't want to go over it. Let's not do that.
and then we do need to go, like, we need to have it in the minutes that we have gone over the hybrid plan with
Yeah.
SBDM. So if I could just do some highlights of it.
Sure.
Have a headache or something?
Yes.
Oh.
Like driving home. Well, actually, I had to leave early from work to go pick up Abby to go meet her teacher and see her classroom because they feel like that's going to help her with transitioning back to school. So I did that at 3:00. And then I got home and like en route from the Wellington home, it started. So I've taken 2 a leave. That we may not even have a meeting because we don't have a quorum and it's 5:00. Oh, here we go.
And we do.
Do we? What is
No.
it? 1, 2, 3. We need one more.
Hello.
Hello.
Travis. How are y'all doing today?
Fine. How are you?
Doing well.
Let me text Santiago.
We don't have enough.
Yes, we've had enough. Oh, you
Okay.
mean,
Yeah.
did you say, have we had enough or do we have enough? Oh.
You've had a rough day, then I can tell that comment back. So do we have enough for the meeting?
No, we need one more, right? Because I'm not included. Am I included? I can't remember it.
I
You were
don't.
included.
You may have forgot.
Actually, I don't know about that. That's interesting.
If I'm included, we have enough.
I mean, you're a voting member, so, right? So wouldn't you count?
I'm the chair. So I don't usually vote.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, we've got 3 of the
Let me
5.
see if I can find it in my
Oh, here she comes.
Got enough. Yes.
Because we knew Sear wasn't going to be here because she's in training.
minute.
Hi.
I made it.
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, so the time is now 5:01 and we'll call this special called meeting to order. First thing I wanted to discuss with the committee is if it's possible, could we table map analysis for our regular scheduled meeting in November? Because I have to be perfectly honest with you, trying to get targeted services together and hybrid together, I did not get it completed, updating it, because the window closed October 16th. And we have been working
Last Friday, yeah.
trying to get the 2 plans solidified and all moving parts in place and communicating with families and getting commitments to participate in targeted services that's supposed to begin on Monday. So if we're all in agreement, can we table
Yes,
map
ma'am.
analysis?
I agree.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then the other 2 items on our agenda will go relatively quick because one is a continuation of our last meeting with the review of the proposal, or not proposal, the quote for the health textbooks and online support. And so we, as a committee, requested that Ms. Radcliffe go back to the company, McGraw-Hill, and ask if we could do a 2-year online. And they did. And remember, if you remember correctly, the first quote was like $6,000 and something. Well, they've come back with the 2-year for the online and the 45 textbooks. And the quote is a grand total with shipping and handling and tax is $8,748.97. So roughly, I mean, we're not even talking like starting. Oh, when will it start? As soon as we order it, the online codes can be sent to us. So we're looking at probably a turnaround of it starting November. Once it's approved by the district, then we take this invoice and we get the purchase order secured, and they can get the
So that means for
codes and everything.
November year 22 will be the end of the license, right?
Yes. And then, in that in between time, we can, depending on where we are financially, we can discuss on the continuation of the online for another 2 years or so, just to see, you know what I mean?
Such a
Right.
great resource for the kids, yes.
Mhm.
Agree.
Any other questions surrounding the proposal? Okay. Could I have someone make a motion to vote on the approval of the purchase of the McGraw-Hill textbooks and online service?
Make a motion to approve.
I second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you so much. Let the record show that we have, as a committee, unanimously agreed upon the purchase of the McGraw-Hill Health textbooks and online curriculum.
That's a 2-year subscription and 45 bucks. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
After 2 years of what? She said it so fast.
She said, is that 2 year subscription and 45 books?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So the next thing on our agenda, look at that, so quickly that's going. The next thing on our agenda is to share with you as a committee our hybrid return to school model. So this looks very similar to our targeted services plan because it includes the Healthy at School components. So we have the general health and procedures and protocols with everyone will be required to wear a mask. We will clean hands frequently. They're either the hand sanitizer dispensers in the rooms, or hand sanitizer will be provided in each classroom. Each teacher will have access to a cleanser for each classroom. We will have temperature checks from the bus. We have the thermal screen that can check multiple students' temperatures as they enter the building. And we also will have staff stationed at the front of the building to take temperatures for our walkers and car riders. Remember, this is when we come to a hybrid model where students will be placed in 2 separate cohorts. We have already looked at our cohorts, and our first cohort A would have, well, I don't know if it's A or B. So we'll just say cohort 1 would have 315 kids in it, and cohort 2 would have 335. It is not a clean break of 50-50 because remember, it is based upon households. With if they have siblings at the elementary or high school level, they try to have those kiddos go on the same days. So we are utilizing an AACBB model. And we have about 160 families who have elected to remain in the remote learning option. So every family received the family assurance of Healthy at School form saying that When they send their kids to school, they attest that their child does not have a fever and has not exhibited any symptoms of COVID within the past 48 hours. Parents will be encouraged to transport their students to school as opposed to riding public transportation. But Fayette County school transportation will be provided. And upon arrival to school, staff members will arrive at school by 8:30. Staff will be in their designated post by that time. If the staff member is not able to take his or her temperature at home, then they may utilize the thermometers located at the front check-in station. And we have those stations that we utilize now during our NTI 2DL. So I'll have aware of where that is located. Staff members not able to report to work for illness, personal leave, whatever reason, he or she should follow the standard operating procedures as defined in the faculty handbook for absences and reporting it into Frontline. They will also need to contact one of the preferred subs identified for Bryan Station Middle School. The supervision duties. So there is a hyperlink in here that outlines staff members who do not have a first period class will be utilized to be in stationed areas in the hallway to move kids along. I will tell you this, that the CDC and Health Department has given us guidance that it is not in our best interest to assign lockers because of the amount of students being in close proximity to each other, as well as being able to sanitize the locks throughout the day would be time consuming. So we are going to make sure that we send out a heavy communication to families to let them know that they need to not bring a large amount of items with them. We will be very close, if not paperless, and we will still maintain utilizing the Canvas platform. And so students will need to bring their Chromebooks to school. And communications and work will be submitted through the electronic format that they have come accustomed to during our remote learning. Student bus arrival. So when the students are dropped off by the bus, if there's a monitor on the bus, the assumption is that the monitor will take their temperatures when they get on the bus. A lot of our buses at the secondary level do not have monitors, so that is why we have that thermal screen that will take the temperatures. In the event that there is a monitor on the bus and there is a student at the stop and they take a child's temperature, we are, as a district, are not legally allowed to leave a student at the bus stop if they have a temperature. So they will have an isolated area on the bus, bring the child to the school, and we will then take their temperature again. We will have an isolated area that we have established. We will utilize the stage as well as the 2 exam rooms in the nurse's station until the parents or guardians of that child can come and pick them up. Walkers and car riders. Walkers coming in, we're going to be very vigilant about communication with families, because in the past, historically at Bryan Station Middle School, students arrive at school as early as 7:45, with school not starting or the doors not opening until 8:35. So we are going to do our very best to get the communication out to not drop your child off at school before 8:30. We will have 6 feet apart spacing markers on the concrete to keep walkers and car riders who are dropped off from their vehicles apart. And we will have staff members located at the front of the building to take those temperatures and allow those students. And then we will have an area where we'll have runners who will, if there's any event that someone has a temperature, we'll put them in one of those isolated areas and then contact parent or guardian to come and retrieve them.
In a rainy day, what will happen?
Good question.
Okay, good.
The goal is to get them in, do the grab and go breakfast, and get to their first period class. And sit in their assigned seat there. That is why I'm encouraging people not to drop their children off before, because when they do that, there's no staff there to supervise children. I mean, you have administrators and office staff that are there, and that's not enough to supervise all the number of kids, even though we have like 315 on one day and 335 on the other with bus riders as well as car riders. Visitors, to ensure healthy and safety of the student and staff, we have that entry point and we have those double doors. And so they must have a mask on. They must have a temperature check if they have an appointment, but we are encouraging visitors not to just come and hang out. So in the past, we've had parents come and eat lunch with their kids, bring items in and just want to see them. So we're trying to keep the number of exposures or number of people who have been exposed to others. We're just trying to tighten up that circle. So we will not have special programs where we would have them in large groups per se. So that's non-issue. Healthy screening staff will continue to use the self-check guidance, and they will take their temperature at school if they have not done so at home already. All students and staff will have their temperature checked upon arrival. Students and staff who have a temperature over 100.4 will be required to return home.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking about on the bus, they would have a designated area, and that means all the kids on that bus would be, once they contaminated, would be, what's the word I want to use?
They'll be in close proximity of someone who potentially could have a positive case. Well, right now, what they're
Exposed, that's
saying
the word, thank you.
What they're saying now is that every child will have to keep their mask on. And if you keep your mask on, they have created an isolated area and they're cutting down the number of students that will be on the bus. So that's why they're doing the two different cohorts. And from my understanding, they'll be sending more buses to areas because some bus stops have numerous children. Like, for example, we have like a stop that is right by Northeast Christian Church for Spanish immersion kids, and people drop their kids off there. Or we also have another big stop that comes from Maxwell, where parents drop their kids off there. And so from my understanding, what I have received information from Brad Daniels, Silver Transportation, said that they will be identifying more than one bus so that they don't have those buses overloaded. So that allows for social distancing more so on the bus. So in the event that a child is sick and their parent comes to pick them up, the protocol for picking up the student, the parent or guardian will be contacted via information in IC. That is why we will be creating a campaign to make sure that every child has updated information in IC, as well as emergency contact information. And then when the parent comes to the building, they will come to the front entrance, buzz the intercom. The parent or guardian will be required to enter wearing a mask and bring a valid ID to do the checkout with Miss Duncan. And then we'll ask that parent stand out in the foyer, that enclosed area, and then the child will be brought out to them. Meal service, we will do the grab and go for breakfast. We will have 3 kiosks located in the front foyer, spaced out for students to get their breakfast. Everything will be in a bag and they will take it to their first period class. Yes, students will have IDs. We will talk about that. We're going to add some components to their IDs so that'll help with dismissal. Yes, every child will have an ID again this year. In our committee that was looking at the hybrid plan, we had a discussion yesterday about briefly about lunch. In our cafeteria, it can hold 40 students. That would roughly be about 2.5 classes maybe. And so we are looking at using another area such as the gym. And we have a screen that drops down. So if there are PE classes, they can go on the other side, but then we could have tables set up 6 feet apart so that kids can have, like a class would probably have lunch in there. But we only have roughly, what was it, Shelley, 2 hours, 2.5
2
hours
and a half.
to have 8 to 9 lunches. So we're going to have to utilize another space because we can't get them all in the cafeteria. Hallway protocols, we have on the floor stickers that are directing the kids to go travel in one direction. In our committee yesterday and reviewing this, we came to the conclusion that students would stay in one room, because if we had our kids travel, and teachers would have to sanitize the room in between classes, and we don't have enough time for that. So we have decided that we would have the students to stay in one room. No, we can't put cafeteria tables outside. They are very fragile and they cost a lot of money. So we can only keep cafeteria tables. I mean, we could possibly because to
I
create.
thought they had wheels.
They do have wheels, but our tables are rather old and the district will not purchase new ones. And so we're holding on to them.
Okay. That would be nice to be outside having lunch.
No, if not if it's
Not in
cold.
November when it's rainy.
They're still gonna have their jackets on.
Hmm.
I try. I always try.
I know. Maybe if it were summer, yes, but not in November in Kentucky. No telling what the weather will be like.
Yeah.
But hallway protocol, we have stickers on the floor showing the direction in which kids will go. We have designated stairwells because remember, we're only having one cohort in the building at a time, so it's less children. And so we have designated one stairwell as up and one on the other side of the building as down to keep the kids separated. And the instructional portion, I have not put that in, but I do have the minute notes from that. Yesterday, we had a meeting and we basically came to the conclusion that students would report to their first period class, stay in that cohort, because when it comes time for contact tracing, that would be best, and we would have the teachers to rotate. The way to get around without changing every child's schedule is that we would still work through Canvas and teachers would utilize a flipped classroom, meaning that they would pre-record lessons and post them to Canvas and provide work through Canvas just like they are with virtual learning or remote learning. And then as our teachers with FaceTime with students, they would rotate through the rooms and they would provide support for the kids when they're in the room for that period.
My question is, how the exploratory how that's gonna work, because they go to different areas in the exploratory.
Well, the exploratory, we're still discussing that because we're saying if they stay we're talking about general ed classes, they would stay. For the electives, we would still need our band students to go to the band room.
Mm-hmm.
And we would still need the orchestra students to go to the orchestra room, but maybe having that's only times that they would go elsewhere.
Because the way you had last year, the schedule, it will be more easier to implement this now because they will have, at least the 6th grader will have the exploratories at the end. But now they have to between the
right. And we talked about that as well. And so that is on the plate of Trimble and myself and the counselors to look at how that would affect. How could we do that without changing the entire master schedule in IC? So that's,
I know,
the hiccup.
it's a big puzzle.
Right. So we were just trying to, take in the feedback from various people And that was what the group finally decided upon, was keeping the groups of kids together and moving. And I was saying, well, why not take, because we have that social emotional learning for 20 minutes tacked on to the fourth period. So why not take that time from the bell schedule? And since we have kids coming to us and they have to be in that first period class, why not have the emotional learning component in the morning and then allow the students to go through the rotation, and then we can take that time and add it to the elective time so that they can have time to transition in between, because if anything, those teachers are going to have to sanitize in between, because we have kids that are going to interventions as well as electives, and we have to have the band and orchestra and chorus go to those rooms.
So probably the classes are gonna be a little bit smaller, shorter, so they can have that extra time. Or we're gonna give just grace to the students?
Well, when you think about it, they pushed back our schedule 10 minutes. So instead of school starting at 9:05, school would actually start at 9:15.
Mm-hmm.
We would get out at 4:05. So we have that buffer. And then that 20 minutes that was tacked on, we can then add, like there's 2 electives. Well, we could add 10 minutes, to allow a lot for transition.
Can that social emotional thing can be moved for Wednesdays when they're like asynchronous? That way you can use that time for everything else that.
Well, here's the thing that gets to our remote learners. So our remote learners, if we do a flipped classroom and lessons are pre-recorded and posted to Canvas, those students that are at home still on remote learning, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they're remote learning, able to see the pre-recorded lessons. And then we would have to utilize Wednesday as a deep cleaning day at school, but teachers would have to have Zoom lessons like in increments of, let's say, 30, 40 minutes on Wednesdays, where they would see all 7 periods. And for those remote learners to be able to check in with the teachers to get support.
So on Wednesday, the teachers are gonna work from home and they're gonna be doing 30-minute lesson for each period?
They're not doing 30-minute lessons. It's more like checking in to get support. Yeah. So this model, my thought was, okay, this would help those who may have been face-to-face and needed a little more support, or those who have the first period, because all of the kids know their schedule. So let's say if they have first period, Santiago, and they're still remote learning, they're going to be on Canvas 4 days out of the week. Wednesday would be their day to be able to have virtual FaceTime with you to get questions answered.
Yeah. The important thing is that it has to be cohesive, because probably we have to go back again to virtual learning. And TDM probably at the end, because it can happen, right? That we have to go back and teach.
Right.
So you're awesome. Yeah. You're awesome, Miss Kirby.
Aw, I don't really feel awesome, but thank you.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
This is wild. Okay. So classroom, the classroom setup, basically I'm saying this. Here's my stance. Backpacks under your seat.
Mm-hmm.
Kids aren't moving. So keep your backpack under your seat. You should have your Chromebook. Now I know I listened to a lot of the teachers during curriculum nights, and they were like, oh, when we come back, I'll expect you to have a binder and a composition notebook. And no, you need to have a Google folder, Google Doc or something. And it's gotta be electronic. I said this 3 years ago that I would like for Bryan Station to become paperless, and look at God. He made it happen, because now everybody has a Chromebook, and I just feel like because of the virus being able to live on surfaces so many days or hours, we don't really know. So we don't want to get into a habit of going back to what we used to do. And then my staff members get infected from student work. So let's keep it all virtual in Canvas. They know how to do it. I've seen the tutorials over and over again when I'm doing virtual walkthroughs. I'm seeing where people are having one-on-one sessions. We have support staff and teachers who are going and doing home visits and walking through the steps with kids. I'm seeing parents bring their kids and they go outside and they're out on the front working with the kid, trying to help them to understand. So we've done it. We're going to keep doing it that way because it's
Teacher
safe.
are gonna be sitting down, doing also the class from the computer and projecting it in the board, right? In the
I'm
smart board?
sorry.
The teachers are gonna be sitting down, projecting and doing whatever they're doing in the smart board.
Yes, you could log on. And so let's say we're all in your class. So it's first period. And we would be in your class with you. And we would focus on math at that time. And then at the end of that period, let's say at 9:55, the teacher would, then you would move to Delaney's room.
And who stays with the kids while I move to the other room?
It's a split second thing.
Okay,
We got it, or we just.
okay, I know, I just
station-
thinking in the moment. I'm like,
Yeah, the
okay.
station of where your room is, then it would have to be an agreement among your team.
Probably Miss Albright will be next to me and she can just stand outside.
Yes, that
That's
or
what I
Miss
was gonna
Haskins.
say.
Thank you.
Yes. We're gonna
I
say
suggest
whoever
that.
is further away from you, you wait for them to come to you and then you would leave because the other rooms are closer together.
Okay.
All right, lunches. So we talked about that. Also, they will be doing the take-home breakfast and lunch. So on Tuesday, Jamie will have lunches and breakfast boxed up and ready to go for those families who have either emailed or contacted or ordered ahead of time those meals to carry them through the rest of the week. And so that will be one of those times where, like, at the end of the day, when we start calling for walkers and car riders, then they will go to that stop off point, get their stuff, and we will have an adult there. They have to either show their ID or say their name. They get their lunch pack and then they go. Thing with bus riders. And so library, I will tell you this, Ms. Brewer was still working on this part of it, but we had a discussion. What she's going to do is an online kind of reserve of a book. And so kids will reserve books, and what she will do is report to reading and or language arts classes to deliver those books to the kids. So let's kind of like public library. You go online, you ask for a book, you get an email, boom, it's ready. Well, this time she's going to do special delivery and take it to the classroom so that we don't have kids going to the library because there's a lot of books, there's a lot of surfaces, and we just don't want kids in there congregating together. So that's the plan that we've come up with using the library. Common areas and restrooms, we will be very vigilant with going to the restroom and making sure that one at a time goes to the restroom and that groups of kids are not congregating together. We're going to be Ms. Santiago asked a question, where do students or where do teachers go when you're using your room as planning, I guess using your room when it's planning time. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to be looking at, is like working on that bell schedule to shift those electives back to back. So like 8th grade electives in the morning together, mm-hmm. 7th grade in the middle of the day, 6th grade at the end of the day.
Like last year.
Yeah, because right now it's not going to work. So yeah, this still is a working document. So there's some notes still on here. Going to the restroom, we have like staff members will monitor. We're not asking staff members to go into the restroom. It's just outside like we've done all the time, and just ensure that the kids are going in, do what they have to do, washing their hands and getting out quickly. Water breaks, we do have water bottles. The district has provided water bottles, and we're gonna send messages to the families to let them know that if they provide their own water bottle, that they're to use the water stations and not the water fountains, because those have been covered up. So we will be using water bottles, and everybody will have their water bottle labeled with their name on it, and they will be responsible for keeping up with it. And since kids won't be moving around the building that much, then we shouldn't have that many accidents. Afternoon dismissal and student pickup. So remember, we are strongly encouraging families to transport their kids if possible. And one suggestion that was given towards the end of our meeting yesterday about this is to utilize the football parking lot by the high school and instruct parents to park there and then have the kids walk to their parents' vehicle. And I have to be in contact with the high school to see if that's something that we can feasibly do, because we are landlocked and we don't have a lot of land and space for cars to roll through our school or the pathway to pick up kids. And that is one area of concern, just because what I have seen historically, we have walkers and car riders who just hang out in the building. And we've got to get them to exit the building as quickly as possible and get in their cars or walk home. And what we find is that the kids want to socialize outside, which is understandable. But during COVID, we need them to go home and not hang out front of the building. And then we'll have the buses coming. And as we discussed, we will be calling by grade level. So we'll start out by saying sixth grade, walkers, and then we'll wait a while, like a few minutes or so until they get out of the building. And then we'll say sixth grade car riders, and go through the whole grade level, seventh grade, and then eighth grade, and then until they're all out of the building. We're gonna see how that goes. Like, we may be able to just say car riders and walkers and stagger between walkers and car riders, because we will only have about 300 kids in the building. But when it comes time for the buses, we're gonna request that all teachers silence the classroom, and we will only announce sixth grade and then the bus. And we want to put them on the bus by grade level. Each bus will have a manifest every day of who is supposed to be on that bus, so the drivers will know.
Good question.
Yes, ma'am.
With the car riders, if you had the car riders parked at that field, what if you have really bad weather and stuff?
I mean, they were parking there anyway, Ms. Cooper. That's why we had such an issue before. We had parents that were concerned about the safety of their kids, and they wanted us to put speed bumps and everything.
That was my next question.
We had staff members up there, and kids were not following the directions of those staff members. I was one of them up there and said, do not walk out in the middle of the street. Cross at this crosswalk, and they would still walk in the middle of the street. So we worked with Buildings and Grounds, and they put in paint on the ground to walk the perimeter instead of what they had previously, which was a walk path down the middle of the road. So we would have to have staff stationed there afternoons if we were to utilize that space up on the hill. But it's more space for kids to, for parents to go and park and wait. And then when their kids come, and we would have to really, like, a lot of my communication that went home to families was, please be mindful that there are kids walking and there are adults directing. So please follow those directions instead of just zooming on by.
I just remember I got the finger when I stopped at the stop sign.
By a parent? Or...
Yeah.
Oh, well, I've been called some very colorful things.
Yeah, when I stopped at that stop sign right there, there's a stop sign right there.
Right.
Got the finger,
Uh-huh.
the horn telling me to go on.
Mm-hmm. They rolled down their window and called me some names
Wow.
to my face. And they knew I was the principal. So just move on.
Ms. Kirby, I have 2 questions. I'm sorry. You know that the teachers are gonna be rotating, and I have 2 different classes, which is math and accelerated math. Are my kids gonna be separated by that way?
How many classes do you have that are accelerated?
2,
And what periods do you have them?
3rd and 5th.
Okay. Then that's good to know, because that's a conversation that we'll have to have with Chris Williams.
And my second question is, if the teachers are gonna be rotating, how are we gonna be communicating between office? We're gonna be using our own cell phones. How are you gonna find us? Because we're in different places now. And we're not supposed to be using the other phone, or we're gonna be using plastic gloves to be able to answer the phone in that room.
Well, there's cleanser and there's paper towels in every room, so you can clean the phone off in between. I mean, like, that's just one thing that you could clean off. I mean,
Okay.
I don't have answers for you on that one, because
I know.
that's not something that I thought about. We just thought about the minimum amount of
Yes, no, I
movement.
understand.
And would we rather have kids moving and teachers be responsible for sanitizing their room in between classes? Because that is the communication that we receive from district, because kids are not allowed to sanitize.
Mhm, mhm.
Or do we keep the kids in one central location and create like the flipped classroom? That way it takes care of the remote learning as well as the kids in front of us.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I'm trying to find how we don't get sick, the adults, the
Right.
easy way. And I'm thinking probably we have plastic gloves in every room, a box. That way, because if you're paying attention to the student at that moment, just getting in the room, you're not gonna remember to sanitize the phone and all that stuff, because you already have the kids there. You know, like how to make it happen. So we're gonna have Clorox wipes that we don't have to ask the parents, that the district can provide for us? Or,
Well, that's what I said, the disinfect spray and
oh,
paper
the spray too,
towels.
that's good.
That's what I
didn't know
said.
that.
Every classroom will have the disinfect spray and paper
Okay.
towels. So it would
Okay.
have to become the new norm. Like, okay, now
Mhm.
classroom, let me spray this phone and the receiver off before I use it. I mean, that's
Probably even the students will do it for us because they are like that. They care about us, the students.
who
The students.
the
When I
students are
come
not
to the room,
allowed
probably they will
to
do it.
handle the chemical spray.
Oh, yeah.
That was why we couldn't have them rotate, because the suggestion was made, well, why not the kids clean their area before they leave the room? And I'm like, because we're not allowed to allow kids to handle chemical that kills the germs.
They've been doing it for so long time in the rooms. Because they like to see the table clean. They do it by themselves.
I know,
Clorox
but you used
wipes,
Clorox wipes before, but right now, like, honestly,
I know.
this is something that has been provided by the district, and it's all ready to go. Spray bottles in the custodial closet, ready to go to put in the classrooms. So that's the communication that I received from the district. So that's what I follow.
Me too.
I've already talked about dismissal, visitors and student pickup. They will have to, the parents will wait in the vestibule. The student will stay in their classroom. Like, we have kids that leave for doctor's appointments and et cetera. They cannot come and just sit in the front office and wait until the parent gets there. Parent will wait in the vestibule, kid will come out, and they will leave from that point. And then the protocol for cleaning, you know, we have PPE on order. We already have some in the building. Every staff member has a mask that has the clear portion on there so that they can be seen when they're talking. Yeah, they just came in today.
Like that.
So those are already there. And then
I
we
like
have the specialized PPE kits for our nurse, as well as a staff member who would work directly with any child that may be positive with a COVID case that's in school. You know, like going into the room to check on them or, you know, except we do have PPE for that staff member. And then no large group gatherings, extracurricular, co-curricular activities. So some of those things that we used to do for fun rewards, we're going to have to be more creative with our thinking. As of right now, we know that athletics is still going on. And as we hear more about it, will let us know if that will continue. And then we have the communication notification procedures. So effective on the 28th, any positive COVID case of any student or staff member in Fayette County, they need to call the number, which is 381 FCPS, or send an email to covid19@fayette.kyschools.us, or visit that website and fill out the document. Once that is done, I can tell you now, if you do this website, what will be generated is an email to me letting me know that there has been a positive case among a staff member or a child. And that way I can then push out information that I need to. And that will help with the, what's it called? When you get all the names of the people that they've been around?
Contact tracing.
Thank you, contact tracing. So, and I have placed this in here, and we need to like really work really hard on getting remind.com, because I know like just finding out that our families, how would they like to return to school? Would they want to be in remote or hybrid, or not remote, or hybrid model? We had, what was it, Radcliffe, 100 families without an email address. So that means in IC. So that means about 100 of our families did not get that communication from the district. And then another 35 of those families, their emails are not active or no longer, or they weren't good at emails because it bounced back. So we had like 135 families that the front office staff, Spanish immersion teachers contacted, because we had EL families to contact, just to find out, how do you prefer to return to school? And so with that, I realized, you know what, we need to push out remind.com. That way it goes to their cell phones, because pretty much every family has a cell phone. Someone, somewhere has a phone. So if we do the remind.com, push out the little code, they can join the group, and we can just push out a message really quick to the entire school and say, hey, we've had an active case or whatever, you know? So I want to get that out to all of the families as well. And so that in a nutshell is the hybrid plan. And I did that less than an hour. Good.
That's the plan when school starts, not this, not the
targeted plan.
Right, that's what I was, okay.
Yeah, targeted services is supposed to start the 26th for parents who can transport their kids to school. For those who need Fayette County Public School transportation, it will not begin until, I believe, November 4th, because it'll be on a Wednesday. So it will not begin this Wednesday for those who need transportation. But this plan is based on that board meeting tonight, whatever they vote on. If, you know, they start with elementary.
With it being so high and it's keep going up, I don't know what they're going to do.
Kirby,
I
with Ms.
know.
Brewer, we learned today that we can use talking points, and it's better than remind, as Ms. Brewer was explaining in our team meeting, because all we have to do is put the cell phone of the teacher in the talking point, I mean, of the parent in talking points, and they don't have to download any app. It will go directly the message to their phone. So we will not depend if they want to download any app or nothing. Like Remind, they will have to do something in their phone. But with talking points, Ms. Brewer was explaining, at the beginning, it's a little bit hard because we have to put all the cell phones of the parents, but it will go directly to their cell phone, like a message.
But
Oh,
they
so
won't, the parent won't get the other parent's number doing that, will they?
No.
Okay.
Ms. Brewer knows more about that. She was explaining that because we were trying to figure it out, how to get more message to the parents, because sometimes they don't answer back the emails and we do
Right.
not know if they got the message or not. And she said, well, we can use talking points and in the computer, and you put it all the cell phones. It's a little bit of work at the beginning, but then you just send the message from there. So probably Ms. Brewer can give you more information about that, because
Okay.
Remind, they need the code. And if they don't write the code and
True.
they forgot or they don't want to do it,
that is true.
that would be more resourceful, I think.
Okay. I'll look into that.
So November 4th is the date for the services for the kids for school. The day for the potential maybe hybrid, which is 2 weeks. When is that date?
Okay, so for elementary, tentatively,
Right.
the week of November 2nd is
Okay.
when elementary will begin.
Okay.
6th grade would then begin the week of November 6th. What's the next?
I think 16th is what I think I saw or read somewhere was the potential for middle school and high school is what I thought.
November 9
well,
or
it's like
November
6th
16th?
and 9th grade
Gotcha.
in first, and I believe it was the 9th. That's sticking out in my mind. And then the 16th, it would be everybody would be in a hybrid if everything
Gotcha.
worked out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we do have a surplus of extra masks for students in the event that, but it's not the black ones. So every child will get 2 of the black masks provided by the district.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, we do have disposable masks.
Just in case,
Right.
but the black one will not break. I forgot about the black ones.
Yeah, and we have enough for every kiddo. And I guess we don't need them for the 160 because they're not coming back.
Was there, and you probably covered this in the last meeting, and I was watching the YouTube thing on the Thursday, Friday, or the off periods. You'd mentioned something there's going to be doing recordings for those days for the kids. So if you go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, it's going to be on the Canvas recordings for the kids.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Great, that's awesome.
Yes, and we'll use Wednesday as the day for checking for our remote learners, as well as any other student that's like,
gotcha. That will be so much better, I think.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. All right. So if there are no other questions, comments, or concerns, everybody clear mind?
Yeah.
Yes.
All minds clear?
All minds
All right.
clear?
Until tomorrow, we will have more questions and more.
I know, because I shared the
Never
target.
stop.
Here's what's funny. I shared the targeted service plan with instructional leadership team. And I was like, take this. I know we didn't have a lot of time to go over it. Take this, take a look at it, and give me any feedback. And then we went over it in faculty meeting. And it was like, nobody said anything. Then the next week, we had another faculty meeting. And then I went over it again. And now there's questions coming. And I'm like, I get it. It's a lot to take in. That's why I try to give things ahead of time for people, like hybrid committee that I formed, trying to get representation from every team and like all content area, not content, every representation for every team. And then like support staff and admin and everything. And that's why I pushed it out to them before the meeting, because I was like, take some time if you can and just go through it. And so I think that's why it was a more productive meeting, with coming up with what should our instructional plan look like.
It looks like what we're doing usually right now, but with them, half of them in front of us.
Right. And that's what I wanted it, because just like you said, who's to say that we stay in hybrid and we don't go back to virtual? So
The only problem I see is the adjustment thing for the students, because they're being used to 3 classes and now they're gonna receive their 6 classes, right? 6?
7.
Oh, 7 classes, so.
We've got to bring back that second elective, because we have band orchestra that are itinerant teachers, and that means their position comes from the district's pot of money, and they have a group of kids, like all of them. Brian and Laura are doing classes on Wednesdays,
Mhm.
those needs. And so in the event that let's say we go to a hybrid, and then for whatever reason, we have to go back to a remote learning or NTI 2DL, then what we're going to have to look at is what I had originally presented, like if we go into this for the second quarter, then should we bring back that 7th period and do it on the Wednesday? And then, so they would get all 7 of those classes, because we have intervention going on Wednesdays. And then we also have those band and orchestra classes going on Wednesday. And I think Ms. Haskins asked, yes, she did, if she could start meeting with the orchestra kids, because she wasn't able to see them. And I was like, yes, go ahead, do it on Wednesday. And I just think we need to bring it back, especially if we don't get exemption from taking state assessment again this year. But I do have some good news to share with you before we go. And with the staff already. But there was an EL newsletter for English learner teachers. KDE looked at the student performance data for 4 years to come up with establishing goals for each school. And of all of the middle schools in Fayette County, 2 grew the most and exceeded their goal. So our goal was like 13.2 for growth for our EL students. We had like 41 point something, 27.7 above what was expected us to grow. That was the highest out of all middle schools in Fayette County. I'm just gonna say.
That's good. Yes.
So teachers are doing their jobs, and
That should be in the district website.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I will let you guys go. The time is now 5:06.
Congratulations, Kirby. And
No, congratulations to you, because you did the work.
And your team. Yes, our team.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Meeting adjourned. I'm going to go get on this board meeting.
All right.
All right. Bye.